everybody, I'm Miss Cooksey. Today we're going to talk about solving equations with variables on both sides of the equal sign. So, just like in the last couple of videos, our goal is the exact same. We're determining the value of the variable by isolating it on one side of the equal sign. So, we're going to try to get the variable by itself on one side of the equal sign. The tricky thing here is, if you look at these examples, we have variables on both sides of the equal sign. So, here are our steps. If necessary, we're going to combine like terms or use the distributive property. Then we're going to add to subtract to combine the variables and the coefficients on one side of the equal sign. So we want the variables and coefficients together on one side. Then we'll solve the rest of the multi-step equation. So we're going to look through 4 examples together, and this will make more sense as we go. First one, 8 plus 5c equals 7c minus 2. The first thing I want to do is add or subtract to get my variables and coefficients together. I've got 2 choices here. I could subtract 5c from both sides, or I could subtract 7c from both sides. I'm going to subtract 5c because that seems a little bit easier. I'll end up with a positive number. So I'm going to subtract 5c from both sides of my equal sign, and I get 8 plus equals 2c minus 2. This is now a multi-step equation that's exactly like the ones we saw in our last video. We're going to start by undoing addition and subtraction. So I'm going to add 2 to both sides of my equal sign. That gives me 10 equals 2c. Now I'm going to undo multiplication and division. So I'm going to divide both sides by 2. And I get 5 equals c. Let's do the same thing over in our next example. Negative 9 plus 8k equals 7 plus 4k. I can choose to either subtract 8k from both sides of the equal sign or 4k from both sides of the equal sign. I'm going to subtract 4k because it's going to result in a positive number. So I subtracted 4k from both sides of my equal sign, and I have negative 9 plus 4k equals 7. Now I'm going to add 9 to both sides of the equal sign. 4k equals 16, and I'll divide by 4. K equals 4. This next example does require us to use the distributive property. So we're going to start by simplifying the distributive property. We're going to multiply the number on the outside times the terms on the inside. That's going to give us 6y plus 14 equals negative 12 plus 8y. Now I need to add or subtract to get my variables and coefficients on the same side. I could either subtract 6y or subtract 8y. I'm going to choose to subtract 6y to keep my numbers positive. 14 equals negative 12 plus 2y. I'm going to add 12 to both sides of my equal sign. 26 equals 2y. Now I'll divide by 2 and y equals 13. Last but not least, I have this problem which I love because it involves fractions, and students hate fractions so much, but we're still going to talk about them. So I need to add or subtract to get my variables on the same side of the equal sign. Just because there's fractions here, nothing changes. It's going to work the exact same. I can either subtract 2/3 x or add 2/3 x. And I'm going to choose to add 2/3 x because, again, I like to keep my numbers as positive as possible. So I'm going to add 2/3 x on both sides of my equal sign. That gives me 4/3 x minus 6 equals 6. Now I'm going to add 6 to both sides of my equal sign. 4/3 x equals 12. And as we've talked about before, now I have a fraction being multiplied to a variable. So I need to divide to undo it. But dividing by a fraction is the same as multiplying by its reciprocal or its flipped fraction. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 3/4. And I get x equals 9. Thanks for watching this video. I hope it was helpful. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a video, and I'll see you next time.